What's up, guys? Welcome to today's guest episode of the Men Made for More podcast, not Codpast. Joined with Dr. Tim Losby here. Second appearance on the show. First one was episode 2 or 3, was one of the better ones that I think we've ever recorded. So stoked to have you back on here, Tim.
Pumped to be here, Sharko. Love spending time with you and love the community that you're creating and happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you giving the time. We're gonna have a lot of digestible things, a lot of quick and practical things here today. For those that didn't catch the first episode with Tim, we'll link it up in the show notes. Go check that one out if you want a more thorough background for Tim and what he's been up to. But Tim, if one of our listeners just jumped in the elevator with you, they had a 60-second elevator ride to hear kind of what you're up to, what you're excited about. What would you tell them?
I'm a chiropractor. I've been in the field for 5 years, and my expertise is helping people get really healthy. Most people come to see me originally for some type of pain or problem, like most people see a chiropractor. But I'd say my expertise is helping people live life to the full, helping them analyze different areas of their health and of their life, and help them experience more of it. So whether that be changes in their diet or changes in their mindset, or helping them find the right fitness program for them or detoxify their body. And then, obviously my wheelhouse is helping people improve the position and the motion of their spine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good. And you and I get along so well because we do have those similar passions. And what started out as, maybe more specifically on the health side of things, or what we thought was health, maybe a more single track focus of chiropractic, of PT, we found out how broad that was, and getting more into coaching in these other areas and just all the other things that go into health. And it's so cool to see what you've built up through your practice doing that.
Yeah. Health is the vehicle, to take you wherever you want to get to. If you want to be doing better in your job or doing better with your family or serving more in your community, you can always do that better when your body and your brain are functioning well and vibrating at a high level.
Mm-hmm. So good. And it's been cool to see, in knowing you for, since college, seeing your evolution through having your practice and growing your practice and doing those things. And what started out as a passion like us, growing into a successful business is always so encouraging to see. And I want to have you kind of speak some life into the business owners out there, the ones maybe that already have a business and they're feeling like they're hitting a ceiling, or those ones that are maybe just in those starting stages of getting something off the ground. They're in that side hustle mode. And a lot of people have a vision. They have this idea that only they can see at the start. But how do you take that vision of having this thing that you want to accomplish, these amount of people you want to help, and then also bringing that in the day to day? Because I think where a lot of people we've talked a lot about in the past is people have this big vision, but then they get so bogged down in the details. They don't take action. They don't do the things they need to bridge that gap from that long-term big picture vision mission they have and the day-to-day details. So can you speak any advice to people on how you kind of marry together that long-term vision you guys have as a company, and then also how that impacts your day-to-day actions?
Yeah, well, both are extremely important. I don't want to downplay the significance of either one. The vision is where it starts. And I think a lot of people get stuck or hung up trying to figure out what next month looks like, or next year looks like, or, I want to make this amount of money so I can pay my bills, or so I can start putting some away, or and they see what can be accomplished within the short term. But what really drives even short-term success is the long-term vision. So I grew a successful practice very quickly out of school. And it was because I stepped into the field literally thinking that I was going to change the world, that my message was what the world needed to hear, that if I got in front of enough people, that I could change my community and my state and the nation. If I got in front of the right people, that like the entire world would start to have this awakening and better awareness of their health. And it was that vision of like changing the world and changing my community that drove me to find the right day-to-day action steps to see growth in the short term. And I'm far from changing the world, and really even far from changing my community, obviously having, an impact in lots of people's lives. But it was that initial huge vision that gave me the fire, the drive to do the nitty gritty daily things that need to be put in place in order to have success. So you got to start with a huge vision for what you want to do, and don't think a year down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Really don't even think 5 years down the road. Think, what does this look like if I really execute this well and I stay committed to it? And then, and then the second note is, you got to recognize that any big success takes a lot of small little commitments, day in and day out. Staying committed to things that you might not be good at yet, staying committed to things that aren't necessarily fun, but move the needle forward.
Man, that's so good. And I love when you talk vision. The other thing I sense so much in your story is belief as well. Can someone have vision without belief? And how do you see those two tying together? Because I hear that you have this big vision, but that also takes a lot of belief in yourself and your purpose. You can't just say I want to change the world, but if you're doubting your ability to do that, or what you offer is going to do that, that's going to run into eventually some roadblocks. I would think.
Yeah. Visions without confidence are just, distant dreams, so the vision's important, but you definitely have to be certain in yourself that you are called and capable of carrying it out. And not that you're necessarily even prepared or ready to get to that point immediately, but that you have the conviction and the commitment to continue to refine yourself. It's, you have to be willing to work on yourself more than you're willing to even work on your business. You got
Mm-hmm.
to do the things that you're not good at to get better at them, or you got to refine your craft, find your strengths, and make your strengths unstoppable. Yeah, you're right. It's all about confidence. Confidence changes everything. Changes your relationships. It changes your business, and it inspires people along the way. When people see a confident person, they become confident and more confident in themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
one of my mentors used to say, everybody's uncertain until they meet a certain person, and sometimes you just gotta recognize you are that certain person.
Uh,
So you got to be certain
yeah.
when you step into situations.
Yeah, I love that. And I talk a lot about self-leadership too. And people think they're in these leadership positions, or they try and study so much of how to lead others, but they haven't mastered, how do I lead myself? How do I carry myself? How do I do those things? Because people will naturally be attracted to your vision and to your confidence, to those things that you're speaking on, versus trying to worry so much about how do I how do I manage people, or how do I try and force people to see my vision. It's like, just set yourself on fire. People drive all over to watch it burn.
It's so true. It's so true. So, when you get into it and you get into the day to day, and I've done this myself, you lose sight of that big long-term vision that really drove the success in the first place. And when you start to level out and plateau, you got to look back to the thing that made you successful in the first place, or the thing that allowed you to grow, was that big vision. And you still got to look back to that, and then allow that to drive the actions when you are getting complacent in areas, or you might be good enough at something to be sustainable, or you might even be successful in other people's eyes, but if you're not where you want to be, you got to get back to the grind, and be willing to put in the work.
Yeah, it's so good. And when you get to the point where you've brought on other employees and trying to grow this vision, how do you communicate that vision in a way that gets other people excited and make sure they're not just going through their day to day, punching the clock, going through the motions, but actually know that they're buying into something bigger?
You got to be intentional with it, and you got to pick your spots on when you're going to pour this into your team. You can't just expect it to happen throughout interactions. You got to set time aside on the front end, and then regularly, to remind them back why we're doing what we're doing. Why are we making all these phone calls? Why are we, you know, why are we making sure that the bathrooms are extremely clean? Why are we
Hmm.
doing these little details that make a huge difference in the big vision? That you won't have issues with that if you have team members that understand the big picture. But they, just like you might lose sight of the big picture at times, your team members do too. So, it's good to make it a regular habit of reminding them of what we're trying to do. So I did this with my team, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and we were setting out our plan of attack, or our what we were going to be doing in the first quarter in this season and the events that we had coming up. And I said, let's just take a step back. And I let them know the thing that got me excited in the first place to want to do this, to get to this level, was envisioning what a community looked like that understood that health is a normal birthright in people, that disease is not the normal thing, because that's not the reality of the world that we live in. So I started talking to them, like, what would it look like if the entire community started to understand and practice the principles that we know and we love? Like, what would a school look like that served healthy food rather than crap? Like, what would those, and then what would those kids be able to accomplish as they got older? Like, what would it look like if instead of schools having, every fall they bring in someone to give the flu shot, what if 2-3 times a year we brought a chiropractor in and we got kids adjusted? What if we started teaching them the importance of caring for their spine at a young age, rather than sticking them behind laptops and making them, sit with crappy posture all day? Like, what would those kids look like? And we started to talk about this, and that's when you can see the energy in your team change. And then it's the things that you don't even like necessarily have to tell them to do; they just start doing them. So it's that vision that you have to remind yourself of, but you also have to project that to your team. And we were just talking about this. Finding a team member that is sold out on your purpose and why you're doing what you're doing is going to be someone that is willing to do the things that aren't necessarily the most fun all the time.
And there's so much good in that from finding the right person, but also I love what as you communicate the vision, as you bring your team along with it, it's not just speaking it at them of like, hey, this is our vision, learn it, memorize it so that you can recite if someone has it, but actually enlisting them in it and letting them be a part of it, and going through that type of exercise is a really cool way to get them like really bought into it and feeling like they have a role in it, because they absolutely do.
Yeah, get their brains thinking big vision. Like, ask them what could this look like? What does this look like? What impact could this have?
Mm-hmm. Man, it's also good from and as it relates to your actual practice. And I know a lot of people are coming to see you with maybe one specific health injury, or they know maybe they know the importance of getting adjusted. Like someone comes in to see us in our physical therapy clinic, and maybe back pain's the reason they're coming in, but there's usually underlying benefits, side effects, if you will, positive side effects that they get from addressing not just their back and addressing some of these other things from a posture issue, from a spine issue. What are some of those other benefits where people might come in and they just say, I just want my neck to be out of pain, but what are some of those other things that are happening behind the scenes, if you will, when someone starts focusing on their posture?
That's gold. So you nailed it. I'd say 90% of people come in because they have some pain that they want to address. And the first thing is recognizing that, addressing that, and helping them understand that their needs are going to be addressed in that. So you got to meet them where they're at. But then, as you're starting to explain the body and how the body works, and they recognize that their spine isn't something that just hurts every now and then, it's something that surrounds, protects their spinal cord and their nervous system and their connection from their brain to the rest of their body and to their organs. Then you can start to tell them stories and make connections with them. And this isn't just going to affect how your back feels. This is going to affect the way you digest your food and how your immune system functions and how you sleep at night. I would say that would be like the next level of understanding. Beyond that, you can start to cast vision for people down the road. Hey, what does this look like 10, 20, 30 years from now, maintaining yourself in good health? How much time are you going to save? How much more memories are you going to be able to make with your family? How much money you're going to save if you don't end up getting sick? Like, sickness and disease is what will crash your finances faster than anything. It's 80% of bankruptcies are people that lose their health. So I would say that's the third level. And then the fourth level is what I fell in love with about caring for my body. It's what we were talking about before. Your health is your vehicle to serve your purpose and to serve other people. When you are in a good state, or when you're carrying yourself with good posture, it doesn't just affect you and how your body functions. Like we were saying before, when you're confident in yourself and you're shining your light and you're in the zone, whatever you want to say, that affects everyone around you, and it brings light to them. It makes them feel better. It empowers them. So the highest level, I would say, is recognizing that your posture not only affects your energy, it affects the energy of the world around you.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's so good too. And people can tell the same way with, with that vision, with that confidence. And I know we got to respect your time here. I know you have a date night with the misses. So as we start to wrap up, I want to, great stuff on health. I know we could talk all day on that. Great stuff on business. Just from another struggle for us as men though. I know a lot of people I talk to, I've struggled with myself. I know you've mentioned you struggle with this of putting on this external confidence before really having that internal confidence, that internal belief we were talking about earlier. And it's almost like a shell of it. It feels fake. It doesn't feel authentic. And I know a lot of guys have struggled with this. Can you speak any life into someone that feels like they're going out and putting on maybe an external shell of confidence, but they don't feel confidence on the inside of them?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I would say part of it's true too. And I think you could probably speak to this too. When you're not confident in yourself, it's still important to put on the shell.
Mm-hmm.
It, some people say fake it until you make it. I remember not necessarily being completely sure of who I am or what I was put on this earth to do, or feeling comfortable in my own skin, kind of feel like I had to put on an act. But putting on the act is still important. Like if you're going to impact people's lives, if you're going to influence them and inspire them, put on the shell, put on the show, whatever it is. But you're right. It's the things that you do in the secret place and the quiet time, and understanding who you are and being at peace with who you are and why you are the way that you are. And I think at the end of the day, the thing that can give you most or more peace than anything is recognizing that you are unique and beautiful and you are good and you've overcome a lot. Like a lot of people don't recognize that no matter where you're at in life, you have overcome some stuff. You've made it through this, you've put your head down, you've battled, and you're always going to have battles to face. And you just got to kind of rest and be okay with that. And remember that people are going to like you more for who you are rather than when you are putting on the show. But until that happens, you got to put on the show. Because the show is what drives you, so it's like, until you recognize that you are the show, put on the show. But at some point you'll wake up and see, oh, this is who I am. I am kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that just screams, comparison, as you were talking about that too, if you look at other people's battles they've overcome and other people's accomplishments and those things, you miss out on all those things that you have accomplished, and you can't, compare battles in terms of numbers or significant. It's like every battle in your own life is significant for a reason. And those things you overcome are, those are things you can hang your hat on and start to build momentum with. And those things of guilt and shame and those things have no place, and they're not, they're just lies and old stories and things that you don't need to be telling yourself. But I do agree at times you do gotta go out and just, bring it externally, even when you're not feeling it internally. And that over time can give you the confidence you need to actually become it.
For sure. Comparison, like you said, comparison is the thief of joy, and you can't worry about what you're not doing. It's more important to remember what you are doing.
Mm-hmm. So good, Dr. Tim. I want to respect your time because date nights, we got to take care of our ladies, of our wives, of our spouses, our significant others when we have those commitments. I do appreciate you coming on. Any last words of wisdom, and where can people reach out to? Where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram, Dr. Losby. You can find me on Facebook, just my name, Tim Losby. If you want my phone number, you want to text me directly, go ahead. I could get that to you, but reach out. I check those platforms pretty well. Last words of confidence. I'll reiterate what I said before, because this is something good that I remember. Hey, everybody's uncertain until they meet a certain person. You are that certain person. Be certain.
So good, man. I love it. I love you. Appreciate you coming on today, Tim. And man, always fun, whether it's a few minutes or whether it's us chopping it up for a long time. So thanks for taking some time out and sharing all that wisdom.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Sharko. Let's do it again.